Hey there, Chris from Alpine Mountain Bike Training here. I'm going to talk about aerobic decoupling. It is also known as cardiac decoupling or cardiac drift. What it is how your heart rate and your power during a workout start to drift apart or separate. You'll notice this commonly as you fatigue through a workout, in that your heart rate is higher for the same amount of power at the end of the workout than what you were doing at the end or at the start. Other causes of this drift can be heat. It can be inappropriate nutrition, dehydration, as well as illness. Illness that can create a different response from your heart rate from your workload. I'm going to show you a few different workouts of my own recently that describe this and how to track it through. You can monitor how you are improving your aerobic endurance. So I want to move on to a site I use called intervals.icu that I use to analyze data. It's an awesome site. You can create a free account, but also you do have an option to pay and subscribe to help support the platform. So the workout that you would, if you're going to monitor your aerobic decoupling or your cardiac drift, is going to be a zone 2 aerobic workout. So ideally, you're going to stay at as steady as possible. So whether it's on a flat road or on a trainer, you want to keep your intensity right at or just below your aerobic threshold, which I have an article on how to find and do workouts at your aerobic threshold. So the length you want to do is, I suggest a minimum an hour. If sometimes you're going to be going over that to 90 minutes, 2 hours, and even longer if you're into training for a really long event such as a marathon XC. But overall, an hour will be good enough if you're first starting. And if you typically do rides or do events that are longer, try to pick a length that is close to your event length. So moving on to one of my workouts. This was an hour-long zone 2 workout right around my aerobic threshold, and go to activity power. And you can go see it. You have this graph here, the one right here. So, and this shows the decoupling. And another cool thing is they also show the power at a certain heart rate, which will fall based on the workout, which will fall around your aerobic threshold. So cool things you can do here. You can drag and you can drag this scale here, so you can pick as a part of the workout. So I've taken out the warm up and the cool down, so it's not included in the calculation, and it draws a graph based on based on the power to heart rate ratio through the whole workout. And what it comes up with is a decoupling score right here. So this one, you can see 7.1. The number I generally look for to see if aerobic endurance for that length of ride is doing well is 5% or lower. So in this case, I was 2% higher. And what was actually going on is I was coming off an illness. I had several weeks I was unable to train. So this was a workout for me to get back into it, see how my heart responded to exercise, and it was responding high. And as you can even see, the jagged ups and downs that were occurring was because my heart rate was a little bit fluctuating a little bit, because I had a pretty nasty flu just before doing this ride. So moving on to my next workout, what I have here, it was prior to my illness, so I was feeling pretty good. My training was going okay. I did almost a 90-minute workout, and then, as you can see from this graph, just by checking out the rate of the line distance and then looking at the decoupling, as long as the power at 146 beats per minute, because I was trying to keep around 140 to 150. If you notice, I have decoupling of 4.3% and power at 146 beats per minute, which is right around my aerobic threshold, which I've estimated. I have 196 watts. And if you recall the previous workout, it was 178. So there is a significant change in this So if you're seeing this as your continued training plan, this is a very good thing. You're seeing that improvement. I saw a regression because of illness, but I'm using these workouts to monitor my aerobic fitness, and I was doing that out of coming out of an illness because I did not feel ready to do a maximal test such as an FTP test. So if you're including these steady state aerobic workouts in your program, there's two ways to follow them. There is doing a steady power and letting your heart rate drift up over the period of time. This is quite beneficial because you are pushing yourself to keep a certain heart rate, or sorry, not a certain heart rate, a certain power level, and you're allowing your body to adapt and work harder. This does sometimes take you out of your pure aerobic threshold. Whether this is that big of a deal depends on your what you feel is your primary training goal. Or you can try to keep a consistent heart rate and let your power slowly drop off, and that will be the drift that will occur. This type of workout is more beneficial if you're not looking at stressing your heart anymore for any reason, like I was coming out of an illness, or if you know you're going to have to, you have a very long event, you're going to have to, knowing like such as a marathon XC, or you're doing an 8-hour race or a 24-hour race, you know you can't let your heart rate creep up and up, because eventually you'll start turning anaerobic and fatigue and have slow down rapidly once you become anaerobic. Ways to monitor is simply looking at this decoupling score that intervals gives you. As well as if you say you're starting to get below 5% and you're doing it for an hour, you can start increasing the time you hold that. So going from an hour to an hour and 15 to an hour and a half, or trying to hold a higher power level. So if in this case I'm doing about 196 on average for the time, can I start doing 205 or 210 watts and seeing what my heart rate does, and then progressing as my body adapts, I would start changing, go longer or go harder. So hope you found this helpful, and if you are going to include some zone 2 aerobic threshold work into your training program, please feel free to comment or send me a direct message. I would love to help out and answer questions.